Indeed there is, and this weekend one of the standouts is on Sunday at Stamford Bridge as Liverpool go to Chelsea, those two clubs we were talking about trying to sign Moises Caicedo. Let's hear about the two managers involved in that one. Jurgen Klopp first, here is Mauricio Pochettino.
I'm so happy in the way that the players are working. We have the quality enough to win games and to be there in the place that we want to be. It's only about to believe. It's believe and work really, really hard. But I have no doubt that with the help of our fans and with the quality of the player, we can win games.
I think two really good football teams, very talented football teams, will face each other. We watched obviously Chelsea on the tour, whatever we could get from there, from the last games. We played the Dortmund game, the Newcastle game. A lot of good things. You can see that it's a very really talented team, and that's what we have to prepare for. It's a home game for them, the first home game after a long break, if you want, and after a disappointing season. That's all clear, so they will show.
Where do you see Jurgen Klopp's squad at the moment as we sit here now?
Yeah, so the squad's strong, but I think what worries me a little bit is, obviously Jordan Henderson leaving, James Milner. I think we look at those
Fabinho.
I think we look at, especially those in particular.
Their influence around the club?
Influence around the club, yeah. It's almost like, because a lot of the clubs now, they have like leadership groups. They're natural leaders, they'll control the dressing room and that. So I think when those sort of players go, that does worry me a little bit, to be totally honest.
I think for me, if they were able to keep all their players fit and healthy, they're going to be dangerous. I think when you look at their firing lineup, if Darwin Núñez starts to put the ball in the back of the net in the way we know he can, Jota stays healthy, Luis Diaz stays healthy, it could be one of those ones where, I've tipped them to make the top four early on, and people think that might be a bit, far-fetched. But I believe if these players can stay healthy, they could do well. Liverpool, for sure. Backlines have been a bit suspect, obviously, last year. Yeah. But now, you've got Virgil van Dijk, new captain, Trent Alexander-Arnold, vice captain as well. Yeah. Their delivery, Robertson as well. If they can get things going in the way that they did when they won the Premier League, I have no doubt they'll come good. Look at last year. They only missed out on a top four by 5 points. Yeah. People were saying how bad they had this season.
But they actually came good late.
And they nearly made it. They just about nearly made it. So, with this team, I agree with what Jermaine said about the leadership going, and it will be yet to be determined who's going to take on those roles and responsibility, because you can't just become a leader overnight. Doesn't work like that, does it? No.
But I do believe, obviously, the forward players are good, really good. And when they're on it, of course, they'll get big numbers. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, the two they have got through the door are eye-catching, aren't they? McAllister, we know all about, proven in the Premier League, and they seem to have got him a pretty decent market value as well, Leon.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the fact that it got done pretty early in the transfer window, it was almost like, McAllister got to give his kind of little send-off, which I think was quite nice. The Brighton fans respected him, knew how good he was, and then they got it done pretty early, and you can see exactly, the fact that he was a Brighton player, was playing in the World Cup, winning the World Cup. Nobody ever thought they'd live to see that day, did they? Especially the Brighton fans. In fact, they've got a World Cup winner within their squad, or had him at that time. And, he can score different types of goals. He's always in the right place. And I think he's consistent. And I think that's something that Liverpool lacked last year. They were so inconsistent, especially with their lineups. They changed the back line so many times, centre-back pairings and those types of things. And I think he'll bring a lot of stability, especially to that midfield where they were lacking last year.
Especially when you sign a player of that quality that knows the Premier League. And we spoke before about the penalties, but I don't think he'll be taking them. Or Salah for sure.
You reckon?
No way.
And from Germany, Dominik Szoboszlai. We've seen him in the Champions League for Leipzig. It's a market that obviously Jurgen Klopp knows very well and traditionally has been pretty successful in.
Yeah, 100%. Again, another big signing. And, it's such a fantastic football club. And these players, you go into a dressing room where you're playing with world-class players. Obviously, I mentioned about the players that have left, but at the same time, you do look at the squad and think, Liverpool, the best version of Liverpool should get into the Champions League. They'll finish in the top four.
What of Chelsea? New manager after the disarray of last season. No distraction of European football. Where, before we get any more through the door in the next couple of weeks, where do you think they're heading?
I think they're heading in the right direction from what I've seen with the Premier League Summer Series and how well they've played and in those games. I think the only thing that I think they're lacking is a number 9. And I think a couple of teams, Arsenal, same as well. I don't think you can win. They're not Manchester City when they can play over Mahrez or withdrawn without a number 9. It doesn't work like that. So, but I like Mauricio Pochettino and Jesus Perez. I think they're good guys. I think you can see what they're going about, what they've done in a short space of time. And Kunku is like a player that I absolutely love. I saw him play a lot for RB Leipzig, and the fact that he's now out injured so early on, he's going to be out till Christmas, is a massive blow. I think the players, obviously, that they've lost, Mason Mount as well. You know, these players at the club have been there for years. So, but Reece James being the new captain, Loftus-Cheek, Reece James being the new captain, I think is a really good thing for Chelsea.
On Kuku, yeah, it's unfortunate. When you sign for a new club, I think the worst thing that can happen is when you get injured. Especially at the start of the season, when you've had a pre-season, you're looking forward to the season starting, and you pick up an injury and you're out, and it's almost like you've got to start again, you know, try and get some rhythm and try and get up to speed. It's really difficult, and it's unfortunate for the manager, but I like Pochettino. You know, as a top manager, they'll play on the front foot, they bring that sort of intensity, and I think they'll be a lot better than last season. And
do you think that the Chelsea model will give Pochettino time? Because he's proven if you give him the time, he can build something.
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe the top 4 this year might be a bit far-fetched to a certain degree. It sounds crazy saying that because Chelsea has spent so much money, you know, in the recent years, especially with Enzo Fernandez coming in there last year as well. He didn't really get going yet. So I think Mauricio Pochettino will get a tune out of these players. You could see, we were talking about Nkunku, but the players look sharp, even in pre-season, and sometimes you need that bit of freshness. And Mauricio Pochettino is that guy that will put his arm around you. You know, he'll be that coach that will get the best out of players individually. And I think he makes sense, this addition that they've got him in. I hope they give him time, because Graham Potter just never really, he got time, but he just never really fit. Some managers don't fit with certain teams. Look at Roy Hodgson when he went to Liverpool, and then he can work wonders at Crystal Palace. Sometimes it doesn't mean they're bad managers, does it?
No, but so you think if he doesn't finish in the top 4, you think he will have time?
I think so. I think he should. Because you look at the way City, Arsenal, Manchester United have been building, you can't expect him to just go from, you know, that far down in the league last season to then all of a sudden make the Champions League.
Yeah, I just feel like the demands of that football club having to win, they're used to winning. I just feel like, you know, it would have to finish in the top 4 because the fans demand it, you know, the people upstairs demand it. You know, it's just how it is at that football club.